record what many of you will be surprised and perhaps disappointed to know will be my final episode.
All right, welcome to Cwic Show. My name is Greg Mattson, and I am your host. In this episode, we are talking about Michelle Stone and her YouTube channel, which she has seemingly shut down for the most part. She's got a goodbye video, and then there are no other videos that are published on her channel or available on her channel. I'm going to go over that a little bit more. There is some nuance to that that I want to talk about, but very interesting development with her. This is someone that I've interviewed. Now, before we go any further, this episode is brought to you by Go and Do Travel. I am the official spokesman for them and the Journey of Wisdom cruise. This is a great cruise. This is going through 3 different continents. We go through Asia. We're going to go through Africa. We're going to go through Europe. We go through Greece, Athens, the Greek Isles, Patmos, Santorini, Turkey, in Ephesus, and in Istanbul. And then we finish up in Cairo, Egypt, with the pyramids and Memphis. We'll be covering the teachings of Paul and John, and then in Egypt, Abraham, Joseph of Egypt, and Moses. We're going to contrast those teachings with a lot of what we see today in the world, a lot of the philosophies of men. We are heading out on September 12th through the 24th this year, 2025, and I would love to see you there. Go to Cwic Media, scroll up to the top to trips and events, and then scroll down to Journey of Wisdom. Now, this episode is kind of interesting. I want to go through this video that Michelle put out there. And by the way, I've seen some other people cover this and throw me in with a number of other individuals saying that I've called her an apostate and all these. I've never done that. I've never called her that. I don't agree with what she is so passionate about, but I have never called her an apostate. And it's odd that, you know, I mean, I think we're kind of in the wild, wild west of YouTube time right now, still in the beginning stages of it. And, you know, people just kind of just go and they just say certain things. And I'm aware of that. I do the same thing. I don't go by a script. And every once in a while, I'll say something that I want to take back. But I just want to be clear, I've never said that. I just don't agree with what she's saying. Now, I do think there are some dangers in believing in kind of the overall, it's almost a movement, right? A movement that has been launched by new information through the Joseph Smith papers and saints, all of this information that's now available to everybody online, which is a great thing. And a lot of people take some information that they get from that and they have their own interpretations of it. And I think that's okay. For example, with Michelle and others that agree with her, they don't believe that Joseph Smith ever practiced any type of polygamy, that there were no women that were ever sealed to him outside of Emma. I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. It doesn't mean anything to me. It has nothing to do with those individuals with people that believe that. It has nothing to do with their salvation. It has nothing to do with their testimony in a vacuum. The problem comes when you get to Brigham Young and you start dumping on Brigham Young, and all of a sudden he's this horrific person that heads up a cabal of Heber C. Kimball and John Taylor and Wilford Woodruff and Joseph F. Smith and others to try and pull the wool over everybody's eyes so that they can practice adultery and push a polygamy which was never sanctioned by the Lord. That's where I start having a problem with it, because there are certain individuals that just absolutely hammer those brethren. And I have no problem with seeking the truth. The truth be what it be, right? It is what it is. But there's just not enough evidence to do this. I know there's certain pieces of evidence for this. There is. It's just like going to trial. You've got a defense and you've got the prosecutor. There's evidence on both sides. But there's not enough. There's not enough evidence in my mind, as I see this, to come to the conclusion that Brigham Young brought this about and made it up and was led astray. And so I see the dangers there of a lot of people, taking this and really going off the rails. Not everybody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that at all. But with some people, and trust me, I have the comments to show you. I can look at a lot of comments and a lot of emails and contacts that have come to me, and it's incredibly vitriolic by some of them toward Brigham Young, and eventually with some of them getting to Russell Nelson and President Oaks, who also are sealed to two women, and then just kind of taking away any kind of sustaining and support and belief that these are living prophets that we have. And again, anybody who watches this channel knows that I know that the brethren are not infallible. I do not believe that for a second. But this is such an extreme thing that it's hard for me to buy into it. So from there, let's take a look at this. I want to go through this video and just stop it a few times and talk about what Michelle is saying.
Welcome to 132 Problems Revisiting Mormon Polygamy. It is with a very deep and abiding sense of gratitude that I record what many of you will be surprised and perhaps disappointed to know will be my final episode. I have decided, as I look around at the various pressures and responsibilities and desires of my heart, I have decided to stop this podcast, and I will also be taking the podcast down.
Okay, so I would just like to say something here. I think that her message, first of all, I think is very heartfelt. I think it's a very difficult thing that she's doing here, right? And whether you believe in what she believes or not, I think you have to take a look at this and say, okay, she's willing to go through something really hard. And yes, I disagree with her on all of this. This has nothing to do with that, right? I think she's trying to make the best decision based on her video here. I don't know her. I've interviewed her, but I don't know her. But it seems to me like she's doing something pretty tough. And she talks about pressures, and a lot of people are saying, well, she must have been pressured from her stake president, from a general authority, from the church. Maybe threatened with membership in the church. I suppose all those things are possibilities, but I don't know that that's true necessarily. It could be, but I think that I think that buying into just that narrative is probably something that shouldn't be done because we don't know what's true. I think she trust me. I know from the position that I'm in with the controversial topics that I bring up, that I feel a lot of pressures, and my family feels a lot of pressures from a lot of different sides, from the left, from the right, from the Orthodox, from the Exmo, from the Progmo, from from everybody who's every angle. It can get tough on controversial topics. And maybe, I don't know, but maybe she feels like this is just the best thing for her and her family. And if that's the case, that's understandable. And there are some other things that are going on here that makes me wonder if she really is being pressured from the church. And again, I don't know, but there are some things happening here where I'm not sure if that's really the case. Let's keep going here.
Amazing things have been done. An amazing conversation has been started that I think is worth continuing. I will simply not be a visible part of this conversation for the foreseeable future. And I think that that in many ways that's okay. There are many other voices that need to be heard. I have been so thankful to have been engaged in this work that I have been doing.
Okay, so again here, she's certainly not back. I heard some people say that, well, she doesn't believe this anymore. That certainly doesn't sound like what she's saying, right? She was, trust me, she's very passionate about this belief. And so I don't think that she's like, okay, I've come to a different conclusion and I'm not going to be a part of this. That doesn't look at all like what is happening. I've seen some people come to that conclusion. She just wants to pull herself out from the conversation as there's a lot going on. It's not easy to do something where you're in the spotlight of a controversial topic or controversial podcast. And maybe she just needs a break. She's also going to go over something where she's talking about how we treat each other and how that's the most important thing. And that even this topic that is very important to her pales in comparison basically to how we love one another and how we treat one another. And it just, she may be feeling something dark in being involved in the middle of all of this.
Is the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I think I've said this so often, but it's so true. The Savior cares so much more about how we look at and treat and embrace one another rather than what side we fall on in any of these questions, any question about the gospel or about history or about any other topic.
Now, she is going to keep up her website, and that's kind of interesting, right? I mean, if she is being pressured against this from the church, you would think that and she's been asked to take this all down. Well, why is her website not down then? Right? I think we need to consider this as maybe she's just taking a break. Here's what she has to say about it.
Interviews on this podcast, and I don't feel that it's, I've been trying to send episodes to people who have done interviews and to others who have just started these episodes or who might want to look something up. My website will stay up for now, 132problems.org, I believe. And people can contact the website, get information there for any information that you would like. The search tool will stay up. So that will be there for now.
Okay. So again, if we look at this, going to her website, it's hard to imagine. I mean, she'd really be having to, do some major gymnastics here if she was being told that she had an issue here with the church. If she's going to be going kind of a do-around, right? This would just be a do-around for her, because if you look at her website, it's all here, right? I can go to episodes in order here. First of all, the website is still up, and I can look at all of the episodes starting with episode 1, 2, et cetera, et cetera. And when you go to these, if I go here to her first episode, then what I get here is a YouTube video. So if you look at this, I'm going to push. Okay, I can look at it here, and you'll see here that it is unlisted. So what happens, you have a few different options on YouTube. You can go to, I have a YouTube, and you can put it on public. If you've got members of your channel, some people have actual members, which is a different tier, then you can put it to membership, and only members will be able to see it. You can put it to private so that it's on the channel, but it doesn't show up anywhere. And the only way you can see it is if you are given the link to that video. Unlisted simply means it doesn't show up on your channel and it doesn't go into people's feeds. That's what it means. So she still has all of these on her channel. It's a matter of they've disappeared. Right. And so what she says about taking the channel down is true, because that's one way to do it. Right. That's one way that you would do it. So they're still available if you find them. I think you can still search them even. But beyond the website, either she has given the files, the video files, the raw video files to someone else, or someone else has burned copies of all of those files and put it onto another YouTube channel, right? So if I go on here and this is a different YouTube channel, it's called 132 Solutions instead of Problems, right? Reclaiming the polygamy narrative. And it says, those nagging things on that shelf of yours, the things that are too icky to think about, referring to polygamy, let's take those off of your shelf. So we're going to show you that there was no polygamy, is what they're trying to say, or that it was never sanctioned. And then it has this caveat here. It says, this is in no way affiliated with the former channel of Michelle Brady Stone. Right. So it's again, it may not be affiliated, but this person either got the video files or they burnt the video files copied them off of the channel originally before they were taken down, or gone into the unlisted files and burnt them, made copies of them, and then uploaded them onto this channel. You can see here that this is on Shorts right now, but if I just go to the videos, okay, this is interesting to me. This is honestly something that must have just happened since the last time I looked at this. They're gone. The videos here are all gone. So they are either unlisted or I don't know, but whoever put this up, they already had 542 subscribers in a few days, and now all of the videos are gone. So that's interesting. New development, which is odd. I'm not sure what that means. This in the last 30 days, it says 4.45 thousand views. 83 videos were put up on this. You see the 83 still on here, but they are no longer on here. So they must have been unlisted or made private. So now those are gone also. Very interesting. So back to Michelle's video.
All I can do is my best to, as I've said again so many times, is my best to follow what I believe, where I believe the Lord is directing me.
She's doing that.
And knowing that I can't please everybody.
And I need to tell those of you who I know are very passionate about this subject that are aligned with Michelle on this. I'm not saying this because I disagree with her. I'm not like saying this. I think she literally is. I have had many people give me kind of a bio profile of Michelle that know her. And I think that she is very sincere about this in terms of having nothing to do with the content, but rather she's trying to do what she thinks is right.
All the time. But a few thoughts that have been going through my mind. I am a believer on doing my best to err on the side of humility.
Okay. So obviously she's very emotional about this. Like I said, this has meant a lot to her, I think. But kudos to her. I mean, honestly, I think she's doing something very difficult for her, and she's trying to do what is right. And maybe it's what's right for her family. Maybe she has some personal revelation on this in terms of taking a different course. Again, not necessarily her. I don't think she's changing her beliefs, but for whatever reason, she's wanting to be humble on this, and that you might say that's to a threatening church, or you might say that is to her better well-being, to the Spirit, to revelation that she's received, for her family, doing what's right for her family. It could be a lot of different things. Lastly, I want to put this in here because for some people on the opposite side of what she believes, I think this is important for you to hear. Now, you can disagree on what she's gone over and what you think she's done in the past and what she's talked about, but let's at least play this.
Beautiful promises throughout the scriptures in the Lord, throughout the scriptures from the Lord, when we are striving our best to do the Lord's word and to share what we consider to be truth in a variety of ways. I love this gospel, and I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a church that I love, that I am extremely thankful for in my life, that I want to continue to advocate for and to help build up and help grow.
So again, I just, I don't know her and I don't know all of the motives. I don't know what's going on, but I think we need to be careful on making conclusions. And the reason that's important to do is because we have the internet, because there is social media, because there are other podcasts, because people can be very cavalier about these things. And so I think that's important to play that and take that for what it's worth. It seems extremely sincere to me. I think that we ought to give people the benefit of the doubt whenever possible. And that was kind of a testimony right there about the gospel and about the church. And it seems heartfelt to me. There's so much going on right now, and I think there's going to be other examples of this where there's so much information online now, and the church is being extremely transparent with all of this information, all the church history, and putting it out there. And as you go through it and you study it, a lot of people are going to come up with their own ideas. Some people are going to be right, some people are going to be wrong. But I think we'll see more more disagreement on things in church history. And I think it's important to play your cards properly. People can have a different belief system. You can be worried if they're bringing people down the wrong road. But I know a lot of people that I really admire that I have a very different point of view on some pretty important doctrines. Michelle here is, I think, doing the right thing for her, whatever that is. She's doing the right thing for her. Again, I disagree with her. I don't agree with her conclusions. I don't agree with where that leads a lot of people in terms of Brigham Young and beyond. But I hope we don't think that because someone has a different belief about some occurrence in the past, that disqualifies them in some way. Learning and growing is hard, and there are growing pains, and we're still in that process. Thanks for listening.